for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
On this edition of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, we discuss the United States 2-1 victory over Jamaica to claim their 6th Gold Cup. Michael Bradley was named player of the tournament only after playing in 3 games. U.S. Soccer Academy Director Jared Micklos called in to break down the structure of the Academy, providing the positives and the negatives of the Academy system in the United States. Lastly, we sat down with high school soccer coach and Region 2 director for the Texas Association of Soccer Coaches, Fred Kaiser, to react to what Jared Micklos had to say and why youth soccer is struggling in the United States right now. All this on this edition of Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast.
Hello. Welcome, Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. I am Steven Jodderin. Across from me is my co-host, Armando Fi.
What's up, y'all? How are y'all doing today?
We have an exciting show in store for you, joined by fantastic people. Great discussion. But let's get straight to it. U.S. men's national team claimed their 6th Gold Cup, one behind Mexico now.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good stuff winning that Gold Cup, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. But the score did not reflect.
I mean, do you think it was an impressive performance?
Not at all.
I thought it was like a normal like cup final. You know, it was a lot of nerves, a lot of like you don't want to mess up. But
well,
I mean,
yes and no. But cup finals have been of recent. Now, if you go to Champions League, European Championship, World Cup, they've been relatively boring. But this one was boring. Like,
I mean, it was. It felt like a standstill. I mean, it was a good mix of Jamaica being very compact and very organized. Very
absolutely.
organized. Applauds to their head coach because they were a very organized squad. They did the same thing against Mexico, and that's how they beat Mexico. And the USA couldn't break them down at some point until the 45th minute when they broke through with Josie Altidor's free kick. I mean, that was a hell of a free kick right there. You saw that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, in the first half, up until that free kick, really nothing had happened. The most exciting play was Altidor's rifle to Blake, and then Kellen Acosta having the rebound and injuring Blake, his hand.
Andre Blake, by the way, my opinion, was the player of the tournament.
Yes.
He's kept Jamaica in so many games. He's a fantastic keeper.
I think 3 shutouts.
Oh my gosh! Like when I'm talking about this guy made so many saves against Mexico, and you continued it against the United States until he hurt his hand.
Yeah,
but I mean,
and that was the turning point of the game because I don't, the game went on and the Jamaican keeper who came up to back up Blake.
I mean, he wasn't bad. But, I mean, he wasn't Andre Blake's level. I think they needed an Andre Blake keeper to go ahead and defeat the mighty United States.
Right. But what was so up until that first half, nothing had really happened.
No, it was a really like a standstill kind of. I mean, USA was dominating the game, but it wasn't. They weren't getting chances to score.
Right.
And if you're not getting a chance to score but dominating possession, like what's the point? And it was the perfect game for Jamaica because that can lead to them stealing the game late, and they almost did that, to be honest.
I mean, they did. So Josie Altidore scores a spectacular free kick, which had a run-up of inches, which to me was like, anytime I see a player do a run-up of just a couple of inches, I would say it's either it's going to go in or it's just going to look horrendous.
I thought it was going to blast it over the bar or something.
Me too, but Dwayne Miller had no chance of blocking that. I don't even think Blake did. I think that was just
he got fingertips onto it, but I think it was in the perfect position to beat him. If that makes any sense.
But I don't think the U.S. deserved the goal at that point. I don't think you can obviously they outmatched Jamaica on the talent level, and that showed in that moment of brilliance from Altidore.
Yeah,
but other than that,
sure.
Organization, Jamaica, they held their own ground. So going into halftime, U.S. being up 1-0 didn't necessarily reflect that first half.
But it was an important goal.
Very
the United
important.
States, it was a very important goal. It allowed them go into halftime with a little bit of confidence. But, I mean, that confidence went away when Jamaica came back and scored.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, the way that the United States came out in the second half, because it was the exact same thing of the first half. Possession, forcing passes in the middle.
Again, it was exactly what Jamaica wanted. They wanted that, and they wanted that chance, and they got that chance off that corner kick that they scored off of, and that really
Watson.
That Javon Watson, the former FC Dallas player, and that really, I think, gave the Jamaicans a lot more confidence. I mean, I think the performance already had given them confidence, and they already just beat Mexico. So why wouldn't they be confident? I mean, they kept USA at bay until the 88th minute.
Yeah. And, that goal was their, I think, first shot on goal, if I remember. The first half, they had no shots on goal. They came out. Timmy Howard, actually, Landon Donovan finally providing some insight. Was talking.
Your boy Landon,
my boy Landon, finally breaking through. He was talking about how Howard, for a long time, used to put a person in the near post and the far post.
Right
now, nobody was covering that far post.
It was a huge mistake by Jordan Morris. If you watched it, just completely turned off
but
he was marking him too, and just completely turned off. And you're sitting there and you're like, what the hell?
Well, Donovan was telling me personally, texting me. No, I'm just kidding. But was telling the broadcast how Timmy Howard made a mistake there by not putting somebody near post and far post. The goalkeeper's now trying not to do that, which I think is so stupid. Just err on the side of caution. What's it going to cost by putting somebody, making the goal 2 feet smaller, and that way he could sit there and shove his body at, and then who knows if Luis Suarez in 2010 handled the ball clearly. He still somehow, that handle of the ball was one of the most brilliant plays in World Cup history.
Right.
Because guess who won that game? Uruguay.
Right.
So when you put players on the line, I don't think Suarez is handled off a corner kick. I don't think that came off directly there. But Timmy Howard made a mistake by not putting somebody on that far post. Watson scored. And that kind of flipped on the game. You saw the momentum wasn't necessarily stolen from the U.S., but it started to roll Jamaica's way. And then you started to get this feeling like, oh, Jamaica could really steal this game.
There was a few shots where I thought, there was a few opportunities where I thought they were going to take it.
Yeah.
I really thought they were. And as a United States fan, you kind of got a little bit worried.
Yeah. And the atmosphere at the stadium wasn't necessarily the strongest either. It was kind of quiet. It was just kind of like, to me, it represented what it was. It was a United States team, a B team of the United States playing Jamaica.
I feel like it's like a B plus.
The U.S.?
Because, they got Bradley, Altidore,
a B
Dempsey.
plus U.S. team playing Jamaica in a Gold Cup final where Jamaica is not even in the hex. So U.S. should have won, and if they had, should have been a domination of Jamaica, I think.
Yeah.
Make a real statement. This was not a statement. This was lifting a trophy, and everybody goes on about their day the next day.
Yeah, like you said, they were more talented, United States were, but they just weren't taking advantage of their opportunities at all, and they weren't creating opportunities. And again, that creativity, I feel like it's a carbon copy of the Costa Rican game a little bit. It was the exact
same lineup.
Yeah, the same lineup. Then Dempsey comes on in the latter stages, provides creativity,
and then Morris strikes the goal. Who worked his tail off the entire game.
Yeah, shout out Jared Morris. It was an incredible performance from him. I think he played
really well. He worked really hard, deserved the goal. U.S. wins it. Woohoo! So back to where we were Sunday. What does this game mean? Or what does this result mean for the U.S. going forward?
I mean, if we're gonna be technical, it does mean they have 1 foot in for the 2021 Confederations Cup in Qatar.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
they're playing in
we're
Qatar.
thinking way too far. I'm gonna be out of college by then. But
hopefully.
Hopefully. But yeah, 2021. So the Gold Cup runs in 2-year editions for some reason. I have no idea why. I feel like if it was a 4-year edition, it'd be so much better. Like, it'd add more prestige.
It would.
That's why you have
more.
a B team playing in the Gold Cup, because no one cares about this Gold Cup. It's the next year's Gold Cup that's more important. If anything.
No, absolutely.
Well, not next year, the 2019 Gold Cup. So I don't know why they do it like that, but they do have 1 foot in the door for that Confederation Cup. I mean, outside of that, good job, B team. Maybe looked at some prospects for the.
But I would say
2018?
it doesn't answer any questions. It just opens up more questions.
Yeah, what's the U.S. going to do when all those guys get old as hell?
Well, not even that. What are you doing in the midfield? Because Kellen Acosta, I think the stage was a little too big for him still. I think he forced again. Sometimes he got lost in that midfield. Michael Bradley played well. He forced a couple things too. Darlington Nagbe, you can see he definitely has that skill. Now, I would say for Michael Bradley and Kellen Acosta, it's a little bit unfair to judge them because they're used to having Pulisic sit in front of them and create all the
have a creator in the
creator in that midfield, while Kellen Acosta and Michael Bradley can kind of play off of him and be more of that connector. Yeah, that transition from defense to midfield to the forwards. Jordan Morris, do you think Bruce Arena is really gonna look at him?
I think he will, honestly. I wish he'd look at Dom Dwyer a little bit more.
Right.
I like Dom Dwyer a little bit more than Jordan Morris, even though Jordan Morris has been part of the national team for a long time. And he's a hard worker, really, really one of the most stealthy, fast people I've ever seen. Like, you see him, he doesn't look fast at all, but he is one of the fastest people you'll see on the national team. But I don't know if he's like a forward that can play on the World Cup stage. Maybe as like a backup potentially, but I mean, I think he will get called up for the 2018 squad, but I don't think he's at that level.
I need to look at how many European-based players are out there because I could name Yedlin, Johnson,
Pulisic,
Cameron, Brooks. That's 5.
Timmy Chandler,
Bobby Wood. Okay, now we're at 7. Like, you could make an argument all those 7 players deserve to start.
Right, exactly.
And then what are you going to do with Kellen Costa, these borderline Nagbe?
I would say this Gold Cup was a little bit of an audition for those guys for those bench spots in the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah, bench spots, sure. But I think we'll see what the MLS, who knows? There's still plenty of time to grow. And
right.
Who knows? It could be a 17-year-old kid who's at Borussia Dortmund and nobody knows of him.
He just comes out of nowhere.
It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Suddenly you could have, a massive deal where you have 2 Christian Pulisics. Then if we had 2 Christian Pulisics, I would be like,
are we trying to duplicate one of them, or
we should clone him? Get his skill.
I would do it.
Clone his DNA. I don't know, but in all sincerity, the United States needs more of that. More than anything.
Obviously, more creativity. I mean, you have 3. I want to say 3 creative players. Well, on the Gold Cup roster at least. Well, no, I'm just talking in general. Pulisic, I feel like is one of
the U.S. roster.
Yeah, Pulisic is one of the most creative players. Then Dempsey, and then I would say Nagbe.
Yeah, but okay, Dempsey old. He can't do it for 90 minutes. So already scratch him.
Right.
So then you have Nagbe, Pulisic, right?
Yeah.
So if Nagbe is really the creator, then shouldn't we have seen more of that in this Gold Cup?
Yeah, I feel like that. But I mean, this is, I don't know. Bruce Arena was tinkering around the lineup a lot.
He did.
Putting different starters and whatnot. Yeah. Like, well, thanks, man.
I think a huge question not talked about is what are we going to do with 38-year-old Tim Howard? Timmy Howard.
Well, I mean, at this rate, let's be honest here.
He might as well start.
He's going to start in the World Cup. I'm going to be honest. That's the path that we're heading towards. It won't be. I mean, we need to go past that. We have so many great young goalkeepers coming up. I think we need to go past that Tim Howard, but he's probably going to be starting in the World Cup. Let's be honest here, and I don't like that from a USA standpoint, to be honest.
No, absolutely, and we're going to have more thoughts coming up in future episodes.
Oh yeah, for sure,
especially with the World Cup qualifiers on September 1st. But up next, we're going to be joined by Jared Micklos of the U.S. Soccer Academy.
Yeah, this one's a cool one right here.
Yeah, definitely some great insight. Joining us right now is U.S. Soccer Development Academy Director Jared Micklos. In 2014, he took responsibility for the strategic vision of the Academy and establishing program initiatives. He also oversees the program's administrative and business operations. And lastly, he implements all aspects of the